welcome to the program. Joining me now, straight out of the gate, Paul Gatling. He's the editor of the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal. Paul, thank you for being with us.
You bet, Robbie.
Let's begin with J.B. Hunt and other trucking companies in Northwest Arkansas, really across the country, are in what we call a freight recession. Can you kind of give us an assessment of where we are in that freight recession, the beginning of it, the middle of it, maybe towards the tail end of it? What do trucking executives think?
Well, without going to my crystal ball, I guess I would say that we were probably maybe to the middle or towards the end of it. But I think the question you ask is, we're at the tail end. How long is that tail going to be? I think if I was a trucking executive like John Roberts or Shelley Simpson at J.B. Hunt, I would be hoping we're at the tail end of it. They reported second quarter earnings a couple of weeks ago, and those numbers were off by double digits, and I think you can largely attribute that to the freight recession they're in. There's just not the demand right now. But it's not just trucking. I mean, it's airways and railroads and every mode of transportation. The demand is just not there. And what do you attribute that to? It's maybe a little bit of consumer behavior. The pandemic years, last couple of years, most people were buying things based out of their home, buying products and things, and now maybe consumers are spending more on services. So that's probably good for the overall economy, but not necessarily good for the freight economy. So, at the end of the day, there's still more capacity than there is demand, and so that's still gonna affect your carriers by and large. So I don't know. Without our crystal ball, I think the freight recession may be tilting towards the end, but how long of a runway that's going to be is up to debate.
All right, you did a piece recently in the Journal on Sam's Club turning 40 years old this year, which is a fantastic milestone there. Sam's Club really started as an experiment for Sam Walton. Kind of give us the backstory on why he made the effort to do this, and then I guess, what has made it so successful?
Yeah, Kim Souza had a really good cover story about Sam's Club and its 40th anniversary, dating back to 1983. Walmart was up and running, but Sam Walton in his early 60s, still not content with the way things were, and saw how successful, this early pioneer of the warehouse club model was, a company out in San Diego. And that business model, very little overhead, and could sell things at a discounted rate than most other retailers, including his own Walmart. So Sam and Helen Walton flew out and had dinner with Price Club founder Saul Price and his wife, and Mr. Price didn't know that Mr. Walton was there on more of a fact-finding mission to come back to Arkansas and kind of duplicate that business model. So that's what he did. In April of 1983, Sam's Club opened its first store in Midwest City, Oklahoma, and within 10 years, within the first decade, it was a $10 billion company in over 200 stores. So Sam Walton could obviously see an opportunity, and now, of course, it's an $85 billion company. It's a Fortune 500 company on its own, still a Walmart division, but if it were a standalone company, it's a top Fortune 50 company, bigger than FedEx, bigger than Disney. So, yeah, in those early years, it could rely on some of those Walmart resources to get up and running, but now, that idea of Sam Walton's turned out to be a winning idea, obviously.
All right, let's dive into some things happening in the Northwest Arkansas economy. Home sales are cooling off compared to a year ago, double-digit decreases in home sales. I think a lot of that's going to be attributable to those higher interest rates we're seeing. We are seeing more consumer spending, though. If you look at the sales tax collections, those numbers are up by double digits in most of the Northwest Arkansas major cities up there. What's your read on the Northwest Arkansas economy? What's hot, what's not, and why?
Well, I don't think you can read too much into the home sales. There's just a critical lack of supply here and throughout the country. So I think those numbers mirror kind of what you see, maybe not to the extent of what you see in other parts of the country, but here in Northwest Arkansas through June, the midway point of the year, home sales down about 15%. Like you said, people are hanging on to those mortgage rates that they have right now. I'm hanging on to my mortgage rate that I refinanced 2019 or so before the pandemic. I mean, if people have an inkling to move, that inkling is thwarted by the prospect of going from a 3.5% to 4%, or in some cases lower, 7.5%, which is still pretty low if you consider what it was 15, 20 years ago. But interest rates are keeping people where they are. But the overriding fact there's just not the supply, especially in a place like Northwest Arkansas, where the population, the in-migration, the number of residents moving here is not slowing down. As for the consumer spending, I think that's like a lot of other indicators, in that what you see on the national headlines and the national trends don't necessarily show up in Northwest Arkansas to an extent. The consumer spending here is up because it's up. It's not as what you see in Northwest Arkansas is not maybe what you'd see nationally, because I think there's just a higher wage here. I mean, people are going to spend because the wages are higher in Northwest Arkansas. There's discretionary dollars to spend, and that's what people are doing as inflation, is subsiding. This gas spike we're seeing this week notwithstanding, I do think you can say that inflation is subsiding to what it was 6 months ago, 8 months ago. So yeah, home sales will probably get back on track in Northwest Arkansas as maybe inflation goes down. I think if you see an interest rate, what I hear from the folks that we talk to, maybe if we get down towards a 5 or 6%, that might loosen up some inventory and make some more houses available for the folks that are moving here.
All right. He is Paul Gatling. He is the editor of the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal. Does a great job up in that corner of the state for us, and always great to get your take. Thank you, Paul.
I appreciate it, Roby.